Simon & Schuster AudioWorks presents Star Trek: The Next Generation.
My mind is blank. Jesus. Why would
I yawned immediately after we started. That was the issue. I would have said something, but as soon as I said "alright," I was like, "Time to yawn."
Time to yawn.
What's fun about Death Stranding is that at first I was like, I felt bad because the mules,
Yeah.
you know, they're addicted to packages.
Yes, they're addicted to
And then
deliveries.
as I get further into the game, I realize I am the mule. I would be the mule.
Yeah, but you're
I'm
just
not even getting chemicals injected into me by likes.
Mhm.
Imagine if that was happening as well, I would be a mule easily.
Easily, yeah.
It
Honestly,
wouldn't take
yeah.
long.
It's like because it's to do with like automation and stuff, right? Because everything got automated, they just kind of like became addicted. Like they didn't have a purpose, right? So they just like started robbing people to get their packages out.
They're addicted.
Mhm.
They're addicted to packages.
Yeah.
Die Hardman says that it's like they're born, they're second generation porters,
Yeah.
and they're born, they're like crack babies, but for packages.
Oh no.
I think is the implication. They grow up addicted to packages.
What
So
a
they're running
horrible fate.
around they're just grabbing packages like, yes, a package.
Yeah.
Hooray. And they don't care what's in it. They don't know what's in it. They're going to rip it apart and try and grab the chiral inside.
Unfortunately,
You know what chiral means?
chiral means where it's like symmetrical but opposite, right? It's like whatever.
They can't be like, it's like they can't be overlaid on each other.
Yeah, they can't be
Superimposed on each other.
So like your
But they are
hands.
symmetrical. The hands are the good example.
Hands.
I didn't know that beforehand. I'm like, let me look up chiral. And that's
Death
why
Stranding.
in the ground, it's the hands coming up.
Yes, Death
various
Stranding
levels
teaches
of
you things.
hands.
Kojima out
Well,
there.
the game didn't teach me it. I had to teach myself. He
No,
just talked about it.
I'm definitely. I bet it's written somewhere in one of those fucking like entries,
probably.
log
I'm
entries that
saving
you
them.
just have to read.
I'm saving them for the end.
Yeah, you're gonna read a
I'll
whole
be like, all right,
book.
time to read through. Yep.
A whole book of entries on how to. Well, there's like
There's all
general
sorts of stuff.
history stuff in there, but there's also just emails towards you as the character.
I skim the emails.
Yeah,
I sort of skim the emails a bit because they have important ones and unimportant ones
yeah.
listed. But I do skim the emails when I get them. But the interviews and stuff and the files, I leave those. I save those. I save them. I'm addicted to packages, dude.
And do you think are you addicted to packages, or are you addicted to the connections you make by delivering them? There is a difference.
I think they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand.
Okay. Well,
That's the thing, though. If my intent with making the connection is part of the addiction to packages, does that justify the addiction to the packages?
that's true, right? If someone is like not profiting, but like, get something out of your addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you complicit in that person's descent
'Cause
into madness?
I look at some of the standard orders I get now, and they're to people who I already have like 5 stars with, and I go like, sorry.
I got what
I
I
wait
wanted
for somebody
out of
else to come around, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That's bad.
it. That's bad.
But there's
yeah.
nothing in the game to punish me with for that behavior. So
Yeah.
sorry, the elder. I guess you're not getting your medicine this week.
Sorry, Mr.
Especially him. He's
Your
such a pain in
life
the
saving.
ass.
He
up
is,
on the
'cause
mountain,
He complains.
and he doesn't even like give you any points at first. You have to keep
Yeah.
giving him shit until he's like, "All right, you're chill."
You're chill. I trust
Fucking
now.
dumbass old man. He's like, "Fuck
Doesn't even-
fuck the USA and the UCA."
UCA. He doesn't want to connect to the internet, but eventually he gets it.
He relents.
He relents. He goes like all the Facebook memes, all the
He's
prawn
like, "Hold
Jesus
up.
is.
How much porn?
How
Oh
much-
my god.
It's the
The
chiral network.
America's archive of pornography.
It's also the chiral
Present in the
network.
UCA
So it's like
chiral network. Yeah.
instant transmission of information,
Uh-huh,
right? It's
uh-huh.
like you can just so many so
That's
much
how
gigs.
everybody. But I think you're right. That's how everybody's finding out about Sam ahead of time. They're like seeing the AI, like some small, like poor child in Africa carving bust of Sam Bridges out of wood.
yeah. Yes,
Caption:
everybody's obsessed.
nobody appreciates his art. Will you give him a like?
Yeah, and then you do a thumbs up at the camera, you know? I
And
love
then you
that.
get some oxytocin.
I love that. Every single time whenever in a cutscene he does a thumbs up and you get a little like, it's always great.
I like when you stare at his dick too long and he punches you in the head.
I never done that, so
You never do that? It was
Never
funny.
done
That was
that.
a big thing when the game came out. Everybody was sharing that. You can you zoom in on his penis in the private room,
Mm-hmm.
and if you do it for long enough, he walks over and punches you.
That's
Which is
unfortunate.
interesting because it's interesting how the homosexual gaze is punished, but then you
Yes.
look at MGSV
Mm-hmm.
and Kojima is like, you're staring intently at quiet. Let me reward
Yes.
you. Let me reward
Yes.
your male gaze.
Let-
Kojima's kind of an evil person, I think,
He is.
Deep down.
He is. Honestly, like that's the
because he
thing,
didn't like
right?
Miss Marvel. Or
Is that the
Captain
case?
Marvel? One of the
Did he
Marvel
not
movies.
like it, or did he just not? He posted
He
like
did
a
the
tweet
thing,
about
the thing
it,
that
and then
everybody always
yeah.
shares the screen cap of, where he's like, "I watched this movie and it was so awesome. I really loved this movie. It was great." And then the other one is saw Captain Marvel, and that was it.
Mm.
And it's like,
Well.
aha,
You know,
Got
he
him.
doesn't preach what he spreads or whatever. You know, he doesn't do the stuff he preaches about, which is connection. You know,
True.
connection. It's all about the. It is interesting. I am interested in Death Stranding too. With like in Death Stranding 1, there's this idea of connection and rope and stick and stuff like that. And now Kojima is kind of like, I was wrong. In Death Stranding 2, we'll see how he will expand on that idea, I guess. And because he
man.
said he was like, I don't think rope is enough. He's like,
sometimes it
it's-
isn't. Well, I
sometimes
mean, you
it's
know,
not
it's
enough.
like it's like the internet in real life.
Mm-hmm.
There's strength to it, and there's like an idealistic view on it and its usage in our lives and
Yeah.
the world as a whole. But then also the weaponization of it is really prevalent and bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
I mean,
And
just going back to the fucking the Facebook is fucked. It's a website for AI to just circular feed each other stuff,
it
and
is-
then ads are put on it, and that's how it makes money.
It is
It doesn't make any
incredibly insidious, honestly. Like when you look at the Zuckerberg's interview where he talks about like AI friends and stuff like that, and
stuff
how
is
like
crazy,
they're gonna
dude.
it is so insidious that like this tool that connects all of us, right? The internet, right? The thing that we're literally using to create this podcast, or we jump on a call, you know, is
And
being
you're
like
using it to
devalued.
listen.
Yeah, and you're using it to listen.
Right
You're
now, we're using the internet to communicate our radical ideas to you.
No, not radical. They're fine ideas. They're non-radical
Our
ideas.
slightly less than radical ideas.
Slightly less.
Our
just-
legal amount of radicalization ideas.
They're radical in a way they're cool. That's the way we're using that one.
They're tubular. Our
They're
tubular ideas.
ideas. Yeah.
Our
Exactly.
wicked.
Wicked.
Ah.
Yes. And, you know, this tool is just being completely, utterly destroyed in a way, you know? It's like this idea.
Some could argue that there was an intent for maliciousness from the very beginning.
From the
though, right?
beginning. Honestly, true, yeah.
It was never fully altruistic, because the
the
only
thing-
reason that kind of thing gets funding in the first place is for its potential usage in such a way.
It depends, because when you look at the way kind of internet came around, right, is initially it was universities using the internet, right, for sharing of data, right, between departments, between
universities.
Them cultural Marxist ideas shared through the internet, and it then when it kind of started being used less by what would you call them, like layman, right? Like it started being used by layman, right? People don't fundamentally understand like this technology, it was just as a tool, that's when it started, like, let's try to monetize it a lot more. It stopped being a tool, it just started becoming entertainment, right? Like, a tool for accessing entertainment, and but it is interesting, the internet.
You mentioning cultural Marxist reminded me of something I saw today. There's a new, those Jubilee videos?
No,
we talked about them before. The ones where it's like 1x versus 20y's.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
I think they released one of those yesterday or today. I haven't watched it. I don't watch these videos, but I was seeing some stuff from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was originally, it was 1 Christian versus 20 atheists, featuring Jordan Peterson being the role of the 1 Christian, right?
Yeah.
And there's a clip in there where he's arguing with some guy. The other guy is just trying to make him admit that he's Christian, because he's like beating around the bush and not admitting to being a Christian for some reason.
Yeah.
And the other guy is like, why people can look at the YouTube video title and see it says 1 Christian versus 20 atheists. Why else would you be here? And Jordan Peterson gets really pissed off. And it looks like they changed the title of the video now to be Jordan Peterson versus 20 atheists. Which is crazy, because when you frame it like that, it's like, so it's just a guy versus 20 other unrelated people.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of him being
funny.
atheist if you're not going to label him as an opposition force?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what are we discussing? What are we debating?
I mean, there's no point to
like...
Jubilee videos anyway. They're just like made for clip farming, so you can put them online.
So...
But it's funny that they just like had to backpedal that, because I guess I mentioned Jordan Peterson saw it and was like, I never signed off on calling myself a Christian.
Christian, yeah.
I'm not a Christian.
I'm not going to get put in a box. I'm not going to have a label.
You can't label me Christian. Yeah. He gets really pissed off, though, because the other guy's like just making fun of him. And he's like, I'm done talking to this one.
Give me another one.
He's like, no, go away. I'm done talking. You're a smart ass. He calls him a smart ass.
Oh, smart is a cool, good.
Because he's just like, why are you here? If you're not a Christian against us 20 atheists, why are we here talking?
Yeah,
about
what's the opposite? Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess he could try to fucking from a position of someone on the arguing on the parts of Christians, but not being Christians. I guess it makes I guess you can make a argument there, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense, You know
what does make sense? #1 Christ-following podcast, Dead Ensigns.
We've done that too many times at this point.
Why would we stop doing it? We're God's favorite podcast.
That's true.
Why would we stop?
They wouldn't even need 20 of us. We would just be you, because I can't bother doing that fucking video. I wouldn't be. I don't want to talk with Jordan Peterson. I would send you out there. I would push you.
Wait, what? We're against Jordan Peterson?
Yeah. Because I'm saying
I thought we would be against the atheists.
Oh yeah, I
we're
forgot.
the #1 Christian podcast.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's true. But he's not Christian.
Yeah, he'd be on the other. It'd be 1 Christian podcast versus 20 atheists, one of which is Jordan Peterson.
And then he goes, I'm actually not an atheist. I was like, okay.
I've never labeled myself as an atheist.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a child of many schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
I'm Ben, this is Max.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm Ben Tholomew, this is Max Araya.
Max Araya is a really cool name.
That's not
It's
bad,
like
actually. It kind of
Max Araya.
Max Araya. Today, Max, is Monday. Monday
It is.
following Memorial
bank
Weekend in the US.
holiday.
It's a bank holiday for us, baby. No working.
I
In
don't even know
America,
what
I think
bank
they don't.
holiday it is.
I don't know if they
for.
work on Monday either in America. I think we just have May bank holiday. Hold on.
Doesn't have a reason for it. It's not like
usually there is a reason. It just gets forgotten over time.
the Queen. It's her favorite day. That's why it's the
Bank
bank holiday.
26th May reason.
That's what I would
Bank
do.
holidays. Where do they come from? From
If
the
I was-
BBC?
If I was a king, I would just announce bank holidays randomly, just to keep them in check. You know.
Monday is the 26th May is spring bank holiday. In the UK, we've had official bank holidays since 1871, when they were formally recognised by an Act of Parliament. On these days, banks are allowed to close, which is where the name comes from. It wasn't long before, however, before the types of businesses and schools began to close their doors as well.
Nice.
I guess it's like back then when you would do that shit daily and not via the internet. You needed like a guy there. The bank was closed. They were just like, well, fuck it, I won't work then. I can't do the shit I need to do at the bank, so...
Trade is closed for today. No more
trade. But this is a huge... It was a huge weekend for movies.
Movies.
In the
And
theater.
money.
You had
Money, which is the
Lilo
most
and
important thing.
Stitch. You had
world.
the deplorable, disgusting...
Yeah?
Some would say evil, maybe, even. Lilo and Stitch live-action remake directed by friend of the show, the guy that directed Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Oh. Has he made anything else except for Marcel the Shell with Shoes On?
I think all he's ever done is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Shoes On?
His name is Dean Fleischer Camp, and he's back with Lilo and Stitch. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
That's a bit of an upgrade, right? Like, from like a pretty small production.
Apparently, the next film project he's directing is The Jetsons.
Ugh.
He's really coming up in the world, man.
The
Marcel
Disney
with
machine
Shoes On.
is grinding his bones into dust. It
Jetsons
seems.
isn't Disney, man.
Is it
That's
not
Warner,
Disney?
That's Hanna-Barbera. That's Warner.
Oh,
Brothers.
yeah.
Warner
well.
Brothers. But Lilo and Stitch, huge opening, huge. It dwarfs the animated version, and is also, I think, the biggest opening weekend for like any of these Disney live-action films. I think.
How much would you take care of Stitch if like an alien like he came to your house? Would you take care of him, or would you like sell him out immediately?
I think he'd be too much for me. The issue with Stitch is that he needs like a weird kid.
No,
I
that's
rewatched
true.
the cartoon on.
Oh, in memory of to see what it
felt like
actually is like.
watching
Okay, yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a great classic movie. Disney film.
I think
and
I
now
would sell him out.
You'd sell them out. You'd give them
I
to the
bet-
government or something.
I bet, and also I'll probably like a reward. It would be probably
Well, it's
a nice
interesting
chunk of
'cause I don't
change,
think-
honestly.
I don't think there's anybody to sell him out to. Generally, people seem kind of nonplussed with the aliens overall in that movie.
Yeah,
They
Make
just
him
kind of
into-
don't really care that much.
maybe I'll make him a streamer. Like I'll stream him.
Oh, like
live.
that's a good idea.
And then I get done, put in prison for like animal abuse, basically.
Oh, but he's like sentient. He's like more
True,
aware
he
than
can
I'd say. He's
consent.
more aware than most streamers are.
Yeah, he consents.
He's more intelligent than most streamers.
Which there's some bad implications there when you think about it. But
No.
anyway, what was you gonna say? You're gonna say something about the original cartoon?
Just that it's good. From what I've heard, there's some interesting changes to the overall message of the film. It seems like the live action one is more about burden. You know?
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know if you've heard this already, but so spoilers, I guess, for Lilo and Stitch, both the original and the new one.
We won't even give you a week. to watch the movie.
No, well, if you were gonna see it, you probably already saw it.
Uh-huh.
To be honest, in the original, Nani is struggling to take care of Lilo, and the Child Protective Services are going to take her.
Yeah.
But that would entail probably flying her to the States, and living with some random family in a foster home. But they've changed it now, and instead, Nani works with CPS.
Okay.
And voluntarily gives Lilo up to live with like their neighbor or something. So Nani can go to college, and then once she's done with college, she will be prepared to take care of Lilo properly.
That's it. I don't know what to think of that, honestly. Like,
It's
that's
very,
a weird,
I think
like,
what they've
yeah.
gone for, it seems like they want it to be like, this is more real. This is more real
No.
than making like evil CPS villain.
Yeah, I guess they were trying to be like more neutral about it, I guess, than like
I think so. I
having
think they
like
wanted to make something more realistic with their cartoon children movie. with the funny alien Stitch.
Horrible government comes around stealing your sister from you, and this time it's like, oh, it's actually like we're being productive and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're being active in this, where she's like, yeah, I'm gonna actively give my sister up for. I don't even know, like
the original. The original was all about found family.
Yeah,
right.
Found family. Yeah,
Like
Ohana.
Like at first, it's just Nani and Lilo, and they can't quite support each other. But then by the end, the family has grown to include 3 aliens. Stitch, Pleakley, and Jumba are like they fill parental roles. Jumba becomes like the dad, Pleakley becomes the mother, and Stitch is the dog.
The dog, yeah.
So it's it's like a nice ending for children.
Like it's like
your
really
family
good, like
can be anybody.
It's like a really good dog too, like a really protective dog. Where you can sick him on people and they'll
he has
kill
guns.
him. He's got guns. You can kill him, and he can, totally legal. Maybe in Hawaii it's a bit different, but maybe you can just shoot people in America a lot of the times. So
stand your ground. Do you think Stitch falls under stand your ground law?
That's the thing, because he's the alien. That's the thing.
Yeah.
What they would have to do is they would have to have the Mac and Me scene where they, how Mac and Me ends,
they become
where
patriots. They become citizens. Yeah.
They become citizens, officially become Americans, and that's when Lilo,
that's
Stitch,
what's missing from Lilo and Stitch is a Mac and Me style repatriating or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it still fucks me up. So that scene that they removed from Mac and Me, where the kid in a wheelchair gets shot by the police.
It's so awesome.
It's so fun.
That movie's so
great.
bad. That movie's so terrible. It's awesome. It's funny they cut that though.
Too much.
Yeah, no. In the live action remake, Jamba is explicitly evil. Mm-hmm. He is the bad guy of the film.
Oh, so he's not like the
he doesn't
found
get
family.
to become a member of the found family.
Oh, that
I don't think
sucks.
Pleakley does anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just left
doesn't
with
do
Lilo,
anything.
Stitch, and the neighbors, I guess. And then Nani can go to college and become a marine biologist.
It's more of like a traditional family, I guess. Rather
Also,
than having aliens in your family.
That's the crazy part, is that it's like, oh, I need to go to college to get a degree so I can get a job to support my sister, What degree is she getting? Marine biologist?
Yeah. There's no money in
that.
A
biology degree?
You should become a programmer instead.
Exactly.
A software engineer.
You should be becoming a software engineer, Nani. What are you doing? You can't support Lilo.
No, it's like a
marine biologist degree. Come on. This is irresponsible. You should become like a lawyer or something.
Yeah, exactly. And putting other people's kids in foster care.
Exactly. But this movie is doing gangbusters. I think it is
Mm-hmm.
outselling Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning,
Wow.
which is unfortunate. But despite that, Final
it's
Reckoning
Good
is
thing you don't want to expose children to Tom Cruise, honestly. Too young.
Final
Can't
Reckoning
take it.
is doing the best out of all of the Mission Impossible films so far.
Yeah, but you have to take into inflation, you know.
I think they do. I think they do. Hopefully, Tom Cruise will kill that disgusting beast Stitch, the live action version.
Yeah, you think he's gonna have another, like, a mission where he goes after Stitch?
I think Mission Impossible is sort of similar to like the Avatar films, you know, where it's like the opening weekend might not be too strong, but they've got good legs, you know.
Mm-hmm, maybe.
Whereas Lilo and Stitch live action strikes me as the kind of movie where like a pretty heavy fall off as it goes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a big opening weekend and then it like really peters out. It's a very good opening weekend and they've more than made back their money. But
It's a kids film though, and it's like a thing that like parents take kids to see the same movie over and over again.
on a holiday.
You know?
Yeah, no, parents do not take their children to the theater to see the same movie over and over. That is not.
I
Parents
don't know,
will
man.
get a DVD and let their kids watch a movie over and over.
There is
no parent that is like, all right, third day in a row, let's go and get tickets to the theater to see Lilo and Stitch.
Like, that's why you get those like kid screenings in cinemas, you know, in the morning and stuff like that to like, you know.
They're not going. You don't repeat those.
That's
too much money. That's too much money, dude.
Well,
I do not think parents on a budget these days, especially, will be like, especially because kids want popcorn and drinks. They want concessions.
Mm-hmm.
A child at the cinema needs to be like, well, I need to have a food and a drink, right? That's what we do here. An adult doesn't. Adult doesn't care. They just show their ticket, sit down.
They get a brown bag with a beer in it, you know.
Mm-hmm. They sneak in like a Subway sandwich.
They sneak in a
I did
whiskey
go to
bottle.
a theater once, and somebody had brought in Johnny English fish and chips, and it wasn't as strong of a smell as it could have been, but it was still a little like, oh really? I gotta sit here and smell your fish and chips.
You should have leaned on and said, "Let me have a bite, or I'll snitch on you."
No, I don't think they care. Especially in this country, I don't think you get in like big trouble for it.
You should. You're
I think
saying
in
that
America it's a problem.
fish and chips are protected like behavior. Eating of fish and chips, is that like that's just so British that you can't like be prosecuted for consuming that sort of food? You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think that's probably correct. I think you could batter and fry an endangered species without knowing it's an endangered fish. And if somebody finds out and they're like, did you just eat that endangered fish? They'd be like, well, I was going to make fish and chips. His Majesty's Royal Court would be like, well, here's the protected right of every British citizen to enjoy fish and chips, regardless of the source of the fish.
Regardless of the that's the thing. It's like in when my brother worked on ships and stuff.
Your brother worked on ships?
Yeah. When certain crews...
That's interesting. I've never known anybody who works on a ship.
In their contracts, they literally said that like they had karaoke like in their contracts. Like it has to be available. Like it has to be there. Or they can literally not work if it's not available.
Well, that's because people on a ship need entertainment or else they murder each other.
That's true.
Or else that ship rolls back into harbor with one guy. One very full guy.
Or full of rats, you know?
Yeah, or just rats.
They spread a plague that then kills a nation, you know?
Exactly. But you know who saved a nation was Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, which I got to see last Monday because I was so desperate to see it. I shot up from my chair after we finished recording.
You were fiending for it.
I went, I have to go. Ethan Hunt needs me one last time.
Yeah.
And I sprinted.
Lift your hands up in the air and give him all your energy to Ethan Hunt.
It does have that. I was thinking the other day that Ethan Hunt and Benji have like a Goku and Krillin kind of vibe. And there is this is the first and probably will end up being the only Mission Impossible film I ever get to see in the theaters. And there is a certain energy of like, you do kind of want to help Ethan Hunt. Because he's helping you. For all those that you never meet, he saves the Earth from nuclear annihilation. He saved the Earth from nuclear annihilation like 3 times across this series.
Yeah.
He's the greatest man who has ever lived.
You want to be Ethan Hunt? This
movie was pretty divisive. If I could press a button and become Ethan Hunt, do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Boop. Boosh. I'm Ethan Hunt. That was the sound of the cloud at the time. The boosh. That was the cloud that turned me into Ethan Hunt. This movie was pretty divisive, but I really liked it. I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great cap to the series. Similar to Dead Reckoning, it had like the first 45 minutes to an hour are pretty exposition heavy, And this one especially has a lot of like clips from older films because it's trying to set up like the finale. But I think despite that, it more than makes up for it with the last 2 hours, or the last hour and 40 minutes or whatever. Great suspense, great characters, great action. It's all there. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I'm glad I watched all these movies.
You were like saying there, like, this seems impossible. This mission he's on is... He couldn't do it,
and then he does it. There were times when I was thinking this one might be the most impossible mission he's ever faced. But he's got a great crew in this one. Mm-hmm. Some awesome characters. I liked Paris, who was like the villain in the last film.
The helmsman of
his team.
Helmsman on Voyager, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Tom.
Harris,
this is a lady called. I think the performer is called Pom. She's the Mantis in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Oh yeah,
bug lady.
Mm-hmm.
Her, and she plays like a cool French, like assassin lady. Mm-hmm. And she's fucking awesome.
Awesome.
And there's a throwback character, the guy from. Did you ever watch the first Mission Impossible?
So long ago, I don't remember it.
Well, you know the whole bit of like he has to break into the CIA and go on the computer, the famous scene.
Oh yeah.
Down. And there's the guy who works on that computer that he steals the list from. That walks in, he sees the knife. They send him off to like Alaska or whatever. He's back in this movie, and he's actually back in a major way. And it was cool to see him, and he's important to the film.
Yeah, is he a villain?
No,
she's not spoil it for it. Yeah. Nice.
Sorry, I answered before you said don't spoil it.
Yeah, well,
unfortunately. I mean, yes, he is a villain. Or is he? I mean, no, he isn't. Or is he?
It's just Ethan Hunt wearing a mask.
I loved all 8 of these films.
What's divisive about this film? Like, what are people like not liking that you
I think it's the exposition. It's very heavy with the exposition and all that stuff. And I think generally the narrative isn't quite as strong as some of the other films like Rogue Nation or Fallout, But I don't know. For me, I like it. Mm-hmm. It's divisive in the way that it seems like people are either like this one was kind of like a boring Mission Impossible, or there are other people that are like this is one of the best Mission Impossibles ever. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people's rankings I'm seeing is either this one is like middle to high or like very low.
Yeah, I did.
But
see a lot
this is the thing: in getting into Mission Impossible and seeing how other people rate them, I think this might be the most consistently good series of films out there.
I guess there's a lot of them, right?
Even the lower end of ones that people always put low, everybody's always has the caveat of like, but it's still really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I love Mission Impossible, dude. I'm glad to have experienced it before it was over.
And now you gotta move on to something else.
Yeah, I don't know what will be next.
You need to establish a new special interest.
Because I watched all the Paul Thomas Anderson films.
Mm-hmm.
I've done Mission Impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's next. Next.
But take a board and stick a bunch of things to it and then throw a dot at it and see where it lands,
Yeah.
Be wild like that. It's like when
Yeah,
some
and
people
then I can
like
put on the dartboard. I'll put the pictures of the directors.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be throwing them at their faces,
Yeah.
and nobody will misinterpret the dartboard if they come into my
Yeah,
home.
they walk in of you doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So make a collage of all their faces, combine them into one single director. The best.
I did also watch The Fugitive this week.
Yeah.
A movie I've been meaning to watch for a while. It was pretty good.
He's on a Mission Impossible. Also, it's kind of a Mission Impossible where he runs away. He tries to get away from Tommy Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm,
And you would think that's such a mission. Well, you can't get away from Tommy Lee Jones.
He did multiple
But then
times.
he does. Yeah, then
He kind of does multiple times. He just kind of runs
They
away.
climb a building at the end, I think, from what I remember. Right?
No, they're fighting on top of a building,
Yeah.
and then they go into like it's like a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
They fight on top of the hotel, and then they go into like the
Mm-hmm.
laundry room, and it's all steamy, and everybody's walking around, and they're like trying to talk to each other. They're trying to like sneak around and hide. It was pretty good. I liked it.
I reckon I could catch you. If I
You
was
think you
Tommy Lee
could
Jones
catch
and
me?
you were the fugitive, yeah, I could catch you.
I think I could get away pretty easily.
I would be, I don't care. I would say
I
that.
don't care. Because you don't. The issue is, it's easier to run. You don't have the resources to catch me.
Mm-hmm.
The catcher needs resources. The fugitive just needs to move.
You don't even know how to drive a car.
No, I can get
I'll
on a
just
bus.
run you over.
I can just get on a bus.
Yeah. You just get on the bus.
Get on a bus. Get on a train. Go somewhere completely random.
Yeah. Or just go where I know you would go. I know where you would go.
Where
I'm
would
not
I go?
gonna
Where
tell
would I
you.
go?
I'm not
Where
going
would I go?
to say it. I'm not going to say it because we're on the podcast, okay? I'm not going to dox you like that. I won't tell
You wouldn't be
the world
doxing
that
me because you're
the
not going to say
hiding
where
place-
I live.
Yeah.
You're going to say where I don't live. But I guess people could extrapolate where I live based on where I don't live. So that would be a shame.
I was thinking, okay, I'm going to say, okay, I will say it's the Big Ben. That's where I knew we were going to go.
I thought it was 1 in a million. I thought it was like, well, you never guess the Big Ben is too obvious.
Because I looked at your name and I was like, Ben. And
I was
saying it
hoping you
over
would
the-
look at it and go, that's too obvious, and not do it.
And I drive up, I look up, on the, and I see
Yeah.
you hanging off of one of the
I'm just,
one of
like, chilling on one of the arms of the
clock.
Big Ben,
Yeah. There he is!
Big snot bubble as I'm sleeping. You know, like a cartoon, like, shoo, shoo.
Unfortunately, you have 15 minutes or whatever until the arrow falls enough that the angle changes and you slide off and die.
I'm tied to it. I tie myself
Oh, okay.
to it. I'm like strapped to it. Anyway, well, you beat me.
I would just
I'm
leave the
finished.
country, honestly. I would go back to Poland and you
But
try
that's
to
what
catch
I'm
me.
saying, man. It's like it's easier to be the fugitive than it is the seeker if you don't have any resources. The fugitive doesn't need that many resources. The
What sort
person
of-
trying to hunt them down needs so many resources.
What sort of resources would you like to have to catch me? Like, what access would you want?
I would need access to the police departments of various places.
Okay,
To put
okay,
out
so
like
you-
APBs or wanted.
So you're
posters.
like an Interpol, basically. That's what you want to be.
No,
like
it'd
I'm
be
not-
like fucking Tommy Lee Jones in the damn movie.
Okay. You
The
can't have
U.S.
everything. You can't
Marshal
just
trying
beat
to
Tommy
like
Lee
fucking. No, I don't need to be it, but
You're Ben.
having the facilities of a U.S. Marshal is important.
Mm-hmm.
It's
that
crucial.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So
You know what I
what
mean?
you're saying is Tommy Lee Jones isn't really that much of a crucial part of that movie. Because it's just
His
the department that
character
he's working
is-
for.
But it's his character is because his arc is that he doesn't care. But then he's following the clues that Harrison Ford is leaving behind, and he starts to go like, you know what? He's actually onto something, and I do care.
Mm-hmm. He's innocent.
He is. You know what? They're right. This is actually fishy. This is very fishy.
Yeah.
And although I said I don't care,
Um,
I do care.
At the end of
I
the
actually
movie,
do
before
care.
it cuts to black, he goes, "I care," and then it cuts to black. You know.
No, they get Harrison Ford go because he like gives him a towel to like wipe up after the big final confrontation,
Mm-hmm.
and
after they made
Harrison
love.
Ford is like, I thought you didn't care, And then Tommy Lee Jones is like, I don't, but don't go telling anybody.
Nice.
And then that's the end of the film. They drive away. It was pretty good. How was your week, Max?
Is Tommy Lee Jones still alive?
Yeah, Tommy Lee, he's pretty old, but he's still alive.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in anything in a while. That's why I kind of thought about it. It's like, yeah, is Tommy Lee Jones been in
78
anything?
years old, man.
Yeah.
What was the last
Jesus.
shit he was in?
Ah, shit. Yeah. I haven't
Jones performances.
watched much. I've tried to finish off Andor, but I'll talk about it some other time. Maybe you'll watch it because you said you
Would
watch
you like
it. So.
me to? I can watch it. Would you like to talk about it next week?
Have you watched the first season of Andor?
I haven't watched any of it. I haven't watched any
Okay.
Andor. It's one of those shows where people recommend it so much that the horrible part of my brain goes, "You already know you'll like it. Why bother watching it?" So I
That's
don't
true.
watch
Yeah.
it. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
It
I
is a
don't end
little
up
bit
watching.
like
I
that.
just keep putting it off over and over.
If I tell you to watch, I'll have to rewatch the first season.
No, you won't.
That's the truth of it. Unfortunate truth. I would have to put in the effort myself also.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it for next week.
Yeah. I recommended you so much stuff, and this is what you end up watching? Andor?
I have the other
But-
stuff open. Oh, the thing is with the other. So here's the thing: the other stuff you've already watched. So I would come in a week later saying I agree with most of your points, except for this one, maybe. This is like you plan to talk about it in a week. So I'm like, well, I guess I can watch it so that we can both discuss it together next week. You know. I still have the stuff you recommend open. I just haven't gone around to it, man. I got OBO Bar.
There's just
I got the
cobwebs.
Hourglass Sanatorium.
The tabs on your browser are like cobwebs on them.
What? That would be
There's
an
a dead
incredible
skeleton.
plugin. Dude, that would be an incredible plugin. If the longer you go without clicking on a tab you have open, it like gets cobwebs on it on your browser
Yeah.
to show
It's darker.
how long it's been since you've
Cracks
clicked on
are
the tab.
appearing on it and stuff like that. Well,
Yeah.
that's
It
$1
has
million
little, like,
idea
spider,
right there.
little animation of a spider dangling down from it over your like, address bar and stuff. Because you haven't
Just
clicked
to-
on the tab in so long.
To remind you to click it.
I did that, so I cleaned out my tabs this week as well.
It's $1
I went
million
through 'em and I was
idea.
like, I'm
I should
just
edit that out
not
so
that,
people
not
don't
that,
steal
not
it. But
Censor the last like 15 seconds. Just what 15-second long beep noise.
yeah, just like well.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I watched some stuff. I watched coming off of the watching of remakes. I guess I watched Suspiria.
Yep.
And
I've only seen the original. What did you think
Yeah.
of this new Luca
was-
Guadagnino one?
It was a lot more of a movie. I guess. Like it was because like the original Suspiria is real weird because it's a Italian giallo film, horror where it's very kind of visual, right? But when you kind of look at what, expressions. But when you actually look at kind of what they're talking about and stuff, you end up like, oh, they're just literally talking about witches. Like it is like just a movie about witches.
The guy who
and,
thinks witches are real.
yeah, the guy who thinks the witches are real, and it's like it's not really that deep or about anything like deeper than that, like the ending of the movie, like the original Suspiria is
It's
like a bit
it's
weird.
as deep as you find it. At the end
Well,
of
I
the day.
guess, but at the end of
As
the
art
movie,
can
there
be.
is this entire like 10-minute long scene where they're explaining what a witch is, and it's it's so weird, coming from like all the like interesting visual stuff that you see in the actual like ballet school, right? To just like, and here's what the witches are, and this is how they function and stuff. It's like, okay. And I think the director was like actually believed in witches or something. I feel like
Yeah, that's what I was
a
saying.
friend of
Yeah,
us, like,
the witches are real or whatever.
witches are real,
He was like trying to inform people the danger.
Yeah, the dangers of witches, But I really like this movie. I really like the way it portrayed the time period.
Is it still set in the 70s? Then?
It's set in the 70s and set in Berlin specifically. You see the Berlin Wall and stuff like that. Just the kind of like weirdness of the times kind of seeps through this movie too, because even one of the main characters goes across the Berlin Wall. You see the kind of contrast between the two different architecture types, between the Western and Eastern Berlin, and stuff like that. The division between people literally manifest in that fucking wall. But it's a very interesting in terms of visuals. I really like the kind of the magic in this movie, the way it's portrayed, and the hexes. I really like how whenever someone gets hexed, it isn't like a process that's like seamless, where it's like, oh, they just kind of, where like someone waves a hand at them and they just kind of go like, they'll maybe feel like a shiver or something like that. But in this case, like they violently, react to intrusion, right, by some magical force, and it's also it's beautifully shot. I really like it's insane that there's a really cool scene where one of the dancers gets kind of like, it's interesting. It's like it would be interesting to discuss that scene where it's like the implications of it, of like the main character kind of being linked to another character, and but the link is like fragile in a way that the person linked is being twisted by the person, the primary link, and it's insane. It's so long, and this person is being, I don't know, I have to look it up because it's super interesting the way it's done, because this person is like, they must have gotten a contortionist, right? That's a contortionist that's able to execute these movements that, and still being able to move, right? That's the thing, because like she's on her legs whilst her back is twisted and her arms are all, also twisted in different directions. It's I really liked it, I feel like, I guess visually is as original Suspiria is very iconic, with the kind of use of color and stuff like that. I feel like it is a little bit less of that in this movie, but
at least
still,
they got another Italian to make it, as opposed to like some kind of evil American.
Yeah, that's true.
Some kind of disgusting fat American slob.
Yeah, exactly. Cover it in burger grease. But
put like a cartoon animal in it or something.
Yeah,
like the witch has like a cartoon animal pet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And they sell toys of it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it.
So they can.
I hate this industry.
They Five Nights at Freddy's Suspiria.
yeah, exactly.
Suspiria. But Tilda Swinton is really good in this, and she does have an interesting role where she plays two characters. She plays a man with prosthetics and stuff like that. She really, executes performs.
She loves double roles. I saw another film that she was in called, I think it's called The Good Daughter.
Oh, okay.
Where she plays the daughter and the mother.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a COVID film. It's one of those ones where it's like there's like 3 people in the entire film, and it's set in like an empty hotel or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they shot it during COVID. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, they may not have. I don't know.
The dancing. There's a dancing number that they do when they finally end up like the dance they practiced for, basically, and it's amazing. Like the execution of it and stuff, and recommend it. Watch this.
If you go to like a specific school, if you go to like ballet school,
ballet,
do you just? I mean, you do just write off everything that isn't ballet class. Right?
I don't think it didn't seem like in this they were doing anything else. Like they didn't have other classes.
Yeah, I mean generally though, like if you were at a specialist school and then they were also like, well, legally you have to do some English, math, and science. You got to just write that off, right? You just be like, hey, I'm in fucking ballet school. I'm here for the ballet. I'm not here for Pythagoras' theorem.
Yeah, I don't need that math shit.
I don't give a shit about this stupid.
I have a calculator in my pocket
Exactly.
right now. But I feel like it's in terms of because like all of these people are adults in this ballet school, so they're already like they don't. I feel like if you want to make like a high school or whatever that
Ballet
has
high
like a
school.
ballet high school, you still have to do lessons. Like you still have to host like proper lessons. You can't just ignore those. But
No, I
there
know
will
that's
be
what I'm saying. You
yeah.
still do them, but you just kind of
Oh, you mean okay.
don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I guess.
You just kind of like half-ass everything because you're like,
Have-
I'm here for the ballet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to
What-
read War and Peace.
But what happens if you like, they're like you're submitting your resumes or whatever to a different ballet
To various ballet jobs.
workshop ballet jobs, like, and they go like, well, you didn't get your C in English, you didn't get your C in maths.
Well, that's the thing you don't realize in this hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, that's true.
What
And you realize-
a business idea. Valet, and it's a valet where all of the valets are ballet dancers.
Ballet. Is there like a reason for this except for the name?
No, just
you
for the
said
name. Just 'cause of the
for the
wordplay.
name. Okay, just the wordplay. I
Just
get
because
it.
of the rhyme. Yeah, literally no other reason.
Yeah, it's like what else are they doing when they're not balleting? When they're not, there isn't a
That's
show.
in people's cars.
And
Can you imagine if you hand your keys to somebody and then they do a pirouette before getting
they-
into your car to drive
Yeah.
away?
Mm-hmm. And they're so graceful too when doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
great.
no, it's great. I would imagine
I think it's a good idea. I'm gonna go to the bank now and get a loan.
This is gonna be another bleep.
Yeah,
I'm
bleep
gonna
that
put
one
it-
as well. We've got $2 million ideas here. That's $2 million.
2 million,
right there.
1 billion for one and 1 million for another.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, another movie I watched was Buffalo 66, which is a pretty controversial
Cancelled.
film.
You've ruined the podcast now.
I've got.
Why did you
cancelled.
even bring it up? I told you not to
Yeah,
before
you
it started.
did. You did warn me. Yeah,
said, "Don't
you,
You dare bring up that awful man.
and this is
After
how
all
you
he
get.
did.
That's how you get me start grifting.
This is how you get canceled.
My coworker, he was like, "I'm not gonna work with you anymore because you mentioned it." Was like if you
watched
like you
a
said,
problematic
if
film.
you do this, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna finish. And I was like, I was like, you're
gonna
not the boss of me, and you're not the boss of me. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
He said, "You're not the
know?
boss of me now, and you're not so big."
But yeah, so Buffalo
Life
66.
is unfair.
I
Anyway,
love-
Buffalo 66.
why is it unfair? What's unfair about life?
I don't know. Ask Malcolm. He was in the middle, man.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Buffalo 66. Very weird movie in terms of the actual relation. It's a kind of romantic comedy kind of thing,
Oh, cute.
It's a very problematic, I would imagine, relationship that gets portrayed because it literally begins with the main character kidnapping the woman that she ends up falling in love with him. Yeah. So there is a little bit of that, like, that's a bit, but I do really like the way this movie looks and some of the kind of artistic choices and scenes in this film. Yeah. And whenever I hear King Crimson, in a movie, I'm kind of like, you got me, I really like King Crimson, and there's a little dance number that gets put over Moonchild, right?
I like to imagine you're walking past like a Nazi biker club and you can just hear King Crimson out the door and you're like,
it's like,
you
got me.
Maybe I'll go and grab a drink.
I make the face of the Court of the Crimson King album and I slide to the side, it's like, but yeah, it's it is that's I don't know what to say about this film because I did enjoy this film. The Vincent Gallo, the director, and just like seems like it seems like a horrible person to work with because reading some of the stuff that off of the like trivia section or like the Wikipedia for this movie, like where people were just getting fired off of the shoot left and right, basically for kind of like, you know, not doing something the way he wanted or something, you know. There is a pretty interesting thing about it where the cinematographer for this film was fired, and then Vincent Gallo wanted to do be named as the cinematographer for it. The insurance company wouldn't insure the film if he didn't get a cinematographer on the film, you know? So he hired some like no-name person, and then like was pissed about the fact they had to name him as the, you know, because he made all the choices for the cinematography for the film, you know? It is interesting how that insurance works, you know, where it's like, oh, we need you to have like a full crew, you know, for this film. But yeah, artistically it's pretty cool. Like it looks nice, you know. The main character is it's an interesting, you know, kind of character, very deeply flawed, you know, and yeah, I don't know. Weird film. I find it a little bit hard recommending it because of the the person involved, but I enjoyed it. But I think we can segue onto something else from that. Another person that you mentioned that is difficult to work with and is toxic to talk
Were you done
about.
talking about the film?
Yeah. Oh, did you
Sorry,
mute me?
No,
Yeah.
well, I was writing out.
definitely-
I was distracted. I was writing out my Instagram post saying I'm leaving Dead Ensigns after
Yeah.
Max's horrible tirade on Vincent Gallo's
tirade,
persecution from the
Yeah, he was
artistic community.
prosecuted.
He should be. You were saying he should be honored at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yes, I did.
Perhaps
Yeah,
for
that's
an
exactly
award
what
for
I-
excellence in film and television.
Exactly, that's why I wanted to. That's why the segue. That's why I said there's a segue.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
I wanted. But yeah, you mentioned this before I started recording, which is
this was
the
pretty
Kevin's-
crazy because you know, all these headlines being like Kevin Spacey honored at Cannes because it was the Cannes Film Festival last week, right? Cannes, Cannes.
Didn't it? There was like a what's it called? There was like a sabotage, wasn't there? Like there was a power cut and stuff like that during the Cannes festival.
I'm not sure. Do you want? You want to bring that up? I was just going to talk about the Kevin Spacey stuff.
Yeah, go on. I was just it's just interesting. From what I remember, the Cannes festival's been kind of riddled with stuff happening, you know, during it.
Well, Kevin Spacey was awarded an award for excellence in film and television by somebody called the Better World Fund.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. I wonder if this was done on purpose in Cannes to make it sound like Kevin Spacey was being honored by the film festival, as though it's like he's back in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is tactical? Do you think this is intentional?
Yeah, I guess but honestly, but like what like who takes that into account? I bet people that already are willing to work with Kevin Spacey, right? Do they really care that much?
Do they want to get back into the regular movies, and not just the
okay,
not just the
you think
crazy right wing people? Or whatever,
yeah, like laying
he's
down
cool.
groundwork for like a normal production, basically. But like, so do you think that he's got something lined up and he's like trying to kind of scrub himself a little bit before it gets released? Because that would make sense rather than him lining up to do work. I feel like he's already doing work and he's just like hoping to kind of scrub his name out a little bit before.
He's trying to get in there. Let's see. Career. Let's see. Why can nobody ever just do like a section like his?
I can't believe that Kevin Spacey was in Modern Warfare.
Yes, he was in The Contract and 1780 this year. Last year, Peter 5'8".
Mickey 17.
In a movie called Control, he was the voice. When did he get cancelled again?
A while ago.
It was like around Baby Driver, right? Yeah, 2017.
Yeah.
The Me Too era,
That's
as they say.
insane to think about that. Jesus. Nearly like
He
10
was in
years
Call of
ago at
Duty.
this point.
We're getting close.
Yeah. That's enough. He that's I'll say that's enough.
I think I might have to write out an Instagram post
I
leaving
think that was
Ensigns for
long
real
enough.
now. That's a bit much.
It's long enough.
There you go.
You know.
It's not long enough now. That's good. That's better. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. Like
it's interesting. Well, it's like it just in the exact same week. There's people they wanted to honor him.
Is he that good to like be like? Yeah, I just really see Kevin Spacey in this role. Like nobody else can do this role except for Kevin Spacey. You know.
Yeah.
I did find like a really interesting kind of video. I don't remember what it was called, but it had to do with AI. It was in theming of AI, and just this idea of how we kind of don't let like a new generation to come in, you know what I mean, and like do things.
Yeah.
We're just like, obsessed with like these monoliths, you know, I guess, of people, and like it's like a good example. Yeah, the greats,
like
you know,
James Earl Jones, who's just been immortalized thanks to Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. You know, with AI, AI is doing its job.
AI.
You know, and one of the kind of things that like was an example that he named as an example was the Irishman. You know.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a very good example. It's a good example.
Where it's like instead of having like a new actor come in, like a younger actor, you know, to do this, you know, no, they had to de-age, you know.
I wonder if I feel like that's less of a Scorsese thing and more of a Netflix thing.
Yeah, I know.
They're probably like, we got this big budget
you know?
Netflix, we got this big budget Scorsese film we want to make. Let's get the people that everybody wants in a Scorsese film, like De Niro, because he's pretty good about like, you know, it's not something that's prevalent in like Killers of the Flower Moon or anything.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
It's
true.
It's well casted, and Robert De Niro's fitting there in a way that makes a lot of sense, and you get everybody else on board. But yeah, no, I get what you mean. Where it's like there's definitely a sense of like, I mean, it's like a lot of people call Tom Cruise the last film star because it's like movie stars these days just don't feel like they have that same level of gravity, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Or at least that gravity has evolved into something different with social media, you know.
Yeah,
weird.
They weren't. It is like a little bit sad to think about it because it is richly reflected with like even AI and stuff. How AI replaces entry level jobs, you know, stuff like that, and how it kind of ripples across everything, you know, in a way. Like it's we're not letting younger generations of people get into the industries that, you know, they want to, you know, and it just seems so extremely like short-sighted, you know, because it's like at the time, like currently, like because I'm talking from like the kind of from a perspective of a software engineer and the way that industry works, you know, and man, like it's tough. It is tough
short-sighted because the whole idea is immediate gains.
Yeah, it is.
You know, the whole idea of these companies and why they're putting so much money into it is that it will pay off as soon as possible. In a year or two, we won't have to hire all these people. We'll just buy some ChatGPT licenses, and then some people can input directly, give me concept art of person riding dragon, and then they go, now make it move. They go, fly across sky, low angle shot, done.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
but it is short sighted because it's all about immediate gains at the end of the day.
And just like that continuation of exchange of expertise, you know, like create the next generation of people that will then do this job, you know, and it's gonna bite us in the ass, you know, like in the end. Like there was, I think one of the examples that I saw, I guess it's like less, you know, as like basically in Poland, I think we have a single nuclear reactor basically that exists, and there was an incident where they had to like recertify it or something.
Yeah.
Turns out they can't do it because the person that was doing it, like doing the process of certifying it, died.
True.
And there's nobody else trained to do it, because why would you try to get into this job and get certified to do this if there's a single position in an entire country, you know?
Yeah.
There is, so you then have to, I don't know, hire people out from different country for like 10 times the price, you know, or something like that. But it's like
it's at the same time though, it's like there's a large subset of young people who are coming into these industries also infected by ChatGPT.
True.
I don't know if you saw that article from like a week or two ago of like people going to university in the US and stuff, and they just let fucking AI do all of their work. They don't do anything. They're paying thousands and thousands of dollars, and I'm sure it's the same in this country as well, just to input all of the questions they're given into a bot that will spit out an appropriate answer.
Yeah, that's true. It is really sad because it's like, it is like, you know, you're supposed to be learning stuff and, you know, gaining experience and things like that. But, you know, I feel like a lot of people, especially with like universities nowadays specifically, people feel like they just need it, you know? They need that degree, they need it. So they're just like, well, I might as well do this because I just want to get it. I want to make sure that I get it. I don't really care about
I think one of the guys in that article was asked, like, why did you come to university then if you're just going to, like, use ChatGPT to get through it? And his response was, like, it's the best place to meet your business partner or wife.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's a little bit
like,
true. Yeah.
It's fucked, man. The idea of higher education has become more of a prerequisite status thing rather than, like, an idea of, like, furthering your knowledge in a field to become more of a professional at it that somebody will want to pay you to do stuff in, you know.
And also they're kind of like these third places, right? They're literally like third places that you pay for, right? That put you in a space with people that you don't really pick, which is good for people in general to just be shoved into a place and be like, just hang out and do stuff, you know, like engage with other people, you know. And, you know, we're getting less and less of these spaces, you know, and it's one of the last remaining ones. But the unfortunate thing about it is that you have to pay and put yourself in debt to attend it, right? It's not a necessity, right? That's been funded by
an increasing amount of debt.
Increasing amount of debt, yeah, exactly, you know, and it's like, well, you know, whatever.
That was a bit of a downer. I've got something that might pick you up, Max.
Yeah, and the upper.
Alex Garland is directing the Elden Ring movie for A24.
I love Alex Garland. I loved Warfare.
Alex Garland.
Warfare was so cool. Civil War was also great.
Ex Machina.
Mm-hmm.
I love what was the one with Natalie Portman? She goes into the
Annihilation.
Annihilation. And who could forget his great work? I think he wrote some of DMC Devil May Cry or something. The American
really? Okay.
version they tried to do. I think he was like a... Let me double check.
Let me double check.
He was the story supervisor for DMC Devil May Cry.
Nice.
Which I think is a game where a lot of people are like, that story's not particularly good.
Well, he doesn't make video games.
What the hell is 28 years later, The Bone Temple? I know they got 28 years later this year. Next year they've got 28 years later, The Bone Temple.
Is that like it's? I didn't know that. This is supposed to be even more.
It was shot back to back with 28 years later.
Okay, that's interesting. And that's coming out soon, right? 28 years later, right?
Yeah, it comes out in like a couple months or something. I think it comes out
Fucking
June.
much. Well,
It comes out
we need
June,
to,
end of June.
we need to do a review of that.
You want to do a 28 days, weeks, and then years later review?
Yeah, that would be good.
Retrospective.
I
Yeah,
feel like that would be a nice.
Well, I
It's
remember
only
liking
3
28.
movies.
I remember liking 28 Days Later,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently Alex Garland wrote.
And it takes place in the UK, so we have to cover it, right?
Yeah.
It's a UK's cultural tombstone. Nah, I don't know.
It's a
But
bit.
like it is a
Maybe
little
not,
bit,
I don't
it's a pretty iconic shot of the guy walking through London. What's he called, the actor? Peaky Blinders.
Fucking Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy walking through London. It's an iconic thing.
Yeah.
He eats too much. He eats too many crisps and throws up.
That's fair. I feel like I do that sometimes.
Yeah, you do that? I don't think
Sometimes,
you should do that.
you just get too into eating crisps.
And you throw up.
You vomit, Yeah,
You're like
it's not a big
you're like a Roman aristocrat, basically, where you're like eating food glutinously and then throwing it up, to eat more of it,
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. But without the
we'll
glamour
get
of it.
We'll do 28 years.
Yeah.
After watching 28 Days and 28... I've never seen 28 Weeks. That one's supposed to be pretty bad, I think, right?
I thought that it just wasn't... It's not as good as the first one, from what I remember.
I think they... Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's not directed by Danny Boyle. It's directed by Juan
so.
Carlos Fresnadillo.
Mm-hmm.
Spanish.
All right. I think we're done for today. I don't have anything else.
Are you done? Are you finished?
I'm finished with Kevin Spacey.
Like,
I've been cancelled. I don't have to.
Be blood.
I don't have to. I don't want to put any more effort in because I've been cancelled. So
that's true. You can check out now mentally.
Yeah, I can just kind of foam it in for the last couple of minutes. While I guess you can continue without me. I guess.
Okay,
you can
I'll
prompt
continue.
me from time to time. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening to Dead Ensigns. We're the number one, whatever I said at the beginning of the episode.
I think we're doing Christian podcasts again, but
Yeah, well, you just fill that in whenever.
I need to get into that, back into that again now that I've been cancelled.
What, Christianity?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good step. Christianity, and then also becoming crueler. The dichotomy of getting into Christianity, but also becoming a crueler, meaner individual.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the direction that you want to go, and the direction a lot of people go. They usually get into Christianity or Catholicism out of spite, and then don't stop being like mean and cruel.
Yeah. Because you go to church and that like kind of fills in. It absolves you and just kind of figures all of it out for you. So you don't actually have to do anything.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
You have to just do a ritual every once in a while, and it like just does the goodness for you,
Yeah. And we believe that is the right and correct system for the humanity to exist in. You can find more episodes of this show at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every time I get to the Apple Podcast bit, I stumble, because in my brain it wants to go iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, and many other podcast-related things. Each one will have its own rating system and subscription system. You just do whatever they ask you to do and make sure to give it a thumbs up or a high rating if you can. It's much appreciated. But if you don't want to do that, you can go to YouTube and find Dead Ensigns there. We post the episodes. I do thumbnails for the videos. That's fun. And while you're there, you can leave a comment. You can like, comment, and subscribe. But if you don't want to leave a comment, you can still ask a question, deadensigns@gmail.com. Send it in and we'll read it and yada, 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 yada. Any closing remarks? Checked out, Max?
No.
Goodbye.
I'm just gonna saunter away. If it was a camera, we had a camera, I would just walk off into the distance. Bye.
It's shorted out, sir. We're gonna have to phaser it.
Then what are you waiting for?
Right away, sir.
Faster would be better, Ensign.
I can't, sir. We don't want to...
That's enough.
But, sir...
Stand aside, Carlton. I'm going through. You're alive. Good.